So April shows up again. Needle record. As the broken record plays. Anybody seen Rebecca? Because, like, we were supposed to meet up, and she was going to help me, you know, about my dad, blah, blah, blah. Wash, rinse, repeat. Matt is getting tired of her asking, and quite frankly, I think the rest of the audience is too. This whole thing with her being compelled and asking the same questions over and over and over is starting to become ridiculous. It's almost like a pointless sight gag. Really, it's like a pointless sight gag. Like, okay, now that we know that she's being compelled, make sure you look for her popping up at least once every episode asking the same question. Please, writers, give this girl a point to being in this episode. Just get rid of her already. Matt doesn't even bother to answer because, one, he's tired of hearing about Rebecca, and two, I think the boys, being Matt and Jeremy, they feel bad that she's been caught in the middle of all this mess. They make some small talk about the exhibit, and April lets on that she actually knows the professor more than just in passing. She remembers him as being a pretty close friend of her father's, which gets Matt to thinking. More on that later. Damon and Bonnie suffer through the professor's long-winded, but interesting, at least I thought anyway, introduction to the occult's exhibit. And I don't know about you, but the way he was talking, it sounded like he was getting way too into it, as though he was almost becoming kind of wistful. Like, rather than talking about theories and legends, it was almost like he was recounting a memory. Maybe this is just me, but he goes on about some extremely powerful witch named Silas who wanted to dominate the world, and he wanted to use another witch, his lover Katya, to help him do it with a spell. She agreed, but when she found out he was in love with another woman, she killed the other woman and buried Silas alive without his magic. The exhibit he was showing them while he was recounting this story was an ancient rock which he believes is the first tombstone of Silas. Brings new meaning to the words "hell hath no fury," like a woman scorned. The way he talks about this legend lends me to believe something, maybe in just for me, but I think there's credence to it and is a definite possibility considering the way that he was talking about it. Maybe I'm just off my rocker, but I don't know. I see it. If you do, comment, discuss. It's a very good possibility, at least in my mind, that this professor is not just Hunter associated. At first I thought he might be a member of the Five. I don't think that. I think he's associated with them. I think he knows who they are, and I think he's definitely using them, or at least using the members. But very good possibility, he may be this Silas in disguise. What if he was freed from burial, but still had no magic, or not enough magic to really have any influence? Like I said, at least no badass magic. What if he's using Bonnie to help him get his full powers back? I mean, he said himself in the last episode that Bonnie was a lot more powerful than she realized. It's a good possibility that that whole candle parlor trick thing, that he might have made that happen to make her think that it was her. I mean, she was under hypnosis half the freaking time. It's not implausible that he used hypnosis or a cheap bit parlor trick to make Bonnie believe that he could help her. She seems to be way too into this guy, and I'm definitely getting a controlling vibe. Definitely. And you'll see this happen more than once in the episode, in this scene, and more towards the end too. The way that he talked to her is just extremely creepy. Bonnie meets with him afterward and brings him to Damon, who is waiting in, of all places, Alaric's old classroom. I want to give props to Ian for how well he plays this off. He not only did this in the classroom, but he also did this at the grill afterwards. He goes searching through Alaric's desk and finds this old stash of scotch, and pours himself a glass and kind of gives a nod to Rick, and he still talks to him. He's like, You really need to be here to share this burden, buddy, because I can't do this all by myself. This is ridiculous. Why did you have to go and die? It's really sweet to see that Damon still thinks of Rick and still misses him and tries to talk to him. He also still leaves him a seat open at the bar, his usual seat where they both used to sit. It shows that Damon truly did value Rick's friendship, and he still feels the pain of that loss. The professor meets with Damon, who asks if he can identify the picture that Jeremy drew, and he gives it to him to look at. Now, we already know that the professor knows what this picture is because he had a big freaking mural of most of it on the wall in his office. So, for him to actually give them this information is a choice, a conscious choice. He doesn't have to tell them anything. He could keep them totally in the dark if he really wanted to, but he made the choice to tell them. To what end, I don't know. But as the episodes go on, we shall see. He says it's a hunter's mark that supposedly only hunters or potential hunters are able to see. They exchange some witty repartee in which it is obvious the hunter knows more than he's letting on. At least obvious to the audience, I would think. Damon is either too concerned about Elena to notice the deception or not in the mood to care about the professor and his quirks. Damon tells him he needs information about the hunter's curse, and the professor asks if he's got a dead hunter in his trunk. Damon doesn't really respond, but doesn't get angry either, which is unusual, especially considering that this is all for Elena. Damon's not in the business of putting up with humans and their humor. So I was kind of surprised to see that he wasn't more forward. Normally when he's trying to get information out of people, I will say that he gets violent, he gets very rough. So for him to speak with him the way that he did, and it kind of matched wits a little bit, and then he really didn't get in his face. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting him to get a bit rough with him, and I was surprised when he didn't. But I suppose I shouldn't be surprised because Damon's changed so much over the years. I think he's really mellowed in that sense, and he really only gets in people's faces now when he's really pissed off. Right now, I think he's more worried than anything else, and he just wants to get the information and put it to use. And the professor tells Damon that the only way to break the hunter's curse is for a potential hunter to kill a vampire, thereby taking up the torch. It takes less than 2 seconds for Damon to put two and two together. Obviously, the potential hunter is Jeremy, because he's the only one that's able to see the tattoo. Stefan goes over to Caroline's, well, rather Tyler's, and explains that he has a plan in mind to get Elena back. He's not going to waste his time scouring the entire Mystic Falls to find her, because he knows that obviously if Klaus has her, he's probably holding her at his house, which is practically a fortress. He tells Caroline and Tyler that if he could just get Klaus distracted for a little while and the hybrids away from the house, then he could go in and get Elena himself. Caroline reveals then that the plans that they've been keeping from Klaus about desiring all the hybrids with Haley's help. Tyler reveals that they may have a way inside, because Tyler is not the only one that is an unsired hybrid. Chris, the one who's guarding her at this time, is also unsired thanks to Haley. Tyler believes they can get him to cooperate because all the kid wants is his freedom. I mean, this kid is terrified of Klaus, but he's unsired and he's scared to death. If Klaus finds out, Klaus will kill him. All he wants is he just wants to go. He wants to go home. He doesn't want anything to do with any of this anymore. Stefan allows Tyler the chance to talk with Chris, and despite the hybrid's misgivings, he agrees to help, provided they let him walk away clean afterwards. At Chez Klaus, Elena's condition starts to deteriorate. The hallucinations are getting worse. This time she can't escape. He doesn't even disappear anymore. He's just there constantly now, telling her that she's monstrous, that she should kill herself, she doesn't deserve to live. And instead of Connor, now it's switched to Catherine. I was so hoping it really was Catherine. I kind of miss her, you know? But she's not dumb enough to come back to Mystic Falls at this point and risk getting killed by Klaus. She berates Elena for being weak, telling her that her worst fears have finally come to bear. She has become exactly like Catherine, only a hell of a lot worse. She will hurt everyone she loves, and the only recourse for her now is to kill herself so no one else will have to suffer all the sacrifices made to protect her. You've lost Jenna. You've killed Jeremy. How many times? You lost Alaric. You've driven Stefan and Damon almost insane. Yeah, you need to just take off that ring and go outside. Try as she might to resist, it is becoming increasingly difficult for Elena to keep her tormentors at bay, because they will not go away. This is like 24/7 now in stereo. She is treading perilously close to a mental collapse. Between Connor and Catherine, it doesn't look as though Elena will have the mental fortitude to endure. She's no longer sure if anything is even real. Every time someone walks in, she's not sure if that's the person she's actually seeing or if it's a figment. Or she sees everyone, friend or foe, as a suspect. If something isn't done soon, odds are Elena is going to kill herself. So Chris shows up at Klaus's house and tells the hybrids standing guard that Klaus needs to see them about something and that he'll continue watching Elena on his own. It's assumed at this point that Jeremy and Damon gets up with Jeremy to explain to him that now that you're this potential hunter, the only way to get rid of the curse is to kill a vampire yourself and become a hunter. Jeremy's a funny guy. He says, kill a vampire? Sure. Give me a stick, I'll kill one right now. He's talking to Damon as he's saying this. Cute, Jerry. Cute. Damon, of course, doesn't think this is funny. What they need is a vampire, but no one they know is obviously willing to die. So Stefan and Caroline, I think with Damon and Jeremy together, decide that using one of Klaus's hybrids is the only way. Knowing that Klaus won't just give up one of his minions, they decide to send Caroline to do a little convincing because he seems to enjoy her so much. And she's the only one that can really talk to him. She approaches him while he's quietly stewing and getting plastered at the grill and tries to get her flirt on, hoping that Klaus will respond. Not only does this serve to distract him so that Stefan can get Elena out of the house, so while he's distracted at the bar, Stefan can slip into the house and get her out. But they really do need a disposable vampire, so he needs to be convinced. Caroline was told not to let on about the cure for the curse, but apparently it seems Klaus is wise despite his drunkenness for feminine wiles. He offers to buy her a drink, and I gotta tell you, I liked the feels for Caroline and Klaus at the beginning, like in season 3, when he was really trying to get her attention. I thought there was potential there, but then he started acting like a complete jerk. So I figured there's no point. I was just content to see her with Tyler. Although
sweet Black Ops 2
multiplayer from video game to snowball.
Although I will say at this point that Caroline and Tyler, and I'm sorry if this frazzles or offends any Forward fans, but they're starting to tread down the Stefan and Elena road. They are getting boring. I'm just not seeing passion there anymore. I mean, yes, they have love for each other, but it's starting to just go. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, and I apologize beforehand. I'm not trying to say that they're not a good couple together. They are cute as a couple together, but I don't know. There's just something that bar scene just kind of reignited my senses concerning Klaus and Caroline. I was like, wow, you know. At first I thought that Klaus trying to get Tyler into trouble with Caroline, the whole Haley thing, was him being a jerk. But it's like he's that desperate. He wants her that badly that he's willing to do anything to get her, even instigate a breakup.